And here we are, guys. The map is Daybreak, and at the top of it, in the purple from the team, it's GoSu. Very good up-and-coming Zerg player. It is coL.qxc. And down in the bottom right, in the red from the team, Complexity, winning 2 games already this match. Can he make it 3, or will he finally get knocked out? It is coL.qxc.
Now, nothing out of the ordinary at all for these players yet, but you hate those moments at the very beginning when you're casting a Zerg player and you look up, you don't see anything in the production tab, and for half a second your heart skips and you're like, is he going to early pool? No, it's just he doesn't have enough money for his next drone.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. It's just one of those tiny half-second delays when you happen to look up there.
Exactly.
I know what you mean.
Like, oh my god, oh no. Oh, you know, actually,
I know what
totally
you mean.
Normal. Well, the map is Daybreak. It's a very good TVZ map, I think. Very balanced, very fun. Zerg players, of course, can utilize a long walk distance to their advantage, safely take quick expansions, a lot of flexibility, whether they want to tech up or whether they want to put on a lot of damage early on.
Yeah.
Makes for very dynamic. I use that word a little bit, maybe even overuse it, but this is one of those maps where you truly get the full range of possible builds in a TVZ.
Yeah, it's such a great TVZ map. I mean, it's one of the maps we see go to the late game fairly often as well, which is a lot of fun to do. QXC is one of the Terran players that has been experimenting a little bit in late game TVZ. He's always been a proponent of getting Ravens more often in the matchup.
Yep.
And he was also one of the players he was one of the first players to kind of adopt ghosts early on in TVZ. So he's still kind of feeling things out. Obviously, with the ghost nerf, it's become a lot more tough for Terran in the late game. But, you know, I think if it gets to that point, QXC is going to have a plan for sure.
Now, the real question is that our Zerg player took purple from QXC. So does he go into ultra rage Hulk mode?
That's a dangerous thing to do, yeah.
I don't know, man. That's touchy. He'll come after you.
He might. I'm sure he's going to come after him because he wants to win the game.
Oh, well, I suppose that's true.
coL.qxc getting his gas now, probably going to get some speedlings fairly quickly. There's the spawning pool going down. Getting gas before pool ensures that he'll be able to get that Zergling speed started, usually around when the spawning pool finishes. So just kind of a very safe, yet giving you aggressive options opening from coL.qxc. But he does kind of like that sort of thing. He likes to kind of have the ability to go in and punish his opponent if he sees any sort of weakness, too. And he's quite good at it.
Well, everything looks pretty normal for coL.qxc. I mean, he's got spawning pool, hatchery, just going to finish up, double queen, speedling build, nothing out of the ordinary at all. Will he play a Lennox style, though, and go very heavy into 4 gases? Is he going to try and take a third base a little bit quicker on, though? So we already know QXC's plan is coming a little bit more apparent. Decides to go ahead and expo double gases afterwards. A lot of players will do this just so they can throw down that factory and eventually reactor as quick as possible, and then some players will even, kind of the ultimate expression of greed, as we do see a bunker going down now for QXC, go after the just a couple of reactored Hellions and go right into Cloak Banshees and put up a third command center all at the same time.
The ultimate expression of greed. That's
right.
It's quite a statement there, man.
Thank you.
I mean,
yes. I'm a wordsmith.
Wow, that's
a walking thesaurus.
Sounds terrifying. A little bit of a bunker pressure here from QXC. Love to see how much it does. Looks like coL.qxc should be able to handle this.
Yeah, looks like
fairly easily.
Marine down here. Unfortunately, he's only been able to kill 1 Zergling and is going to lose 3 Marines for his trouble.
Yep. Rambo drone going after everything there too.
Yeah. Second Zergling falls, but that's still 50 minerals for the gain of 150. Though that's a little bit interesting.
Yeah, well, just wanted to kind of scare the Marine away a little bit more, do a little bit more damage to it, make it easier that you know, if the Marine decided to continue on its merry way to the bunker, that it wouldn't be able to survive the trip.
That's right. Continue on his merry way. Now I have an image of him just skipping along.
Marines are happy. They're happy to do their job. They're just like, hey, Stim Pack makes everything better. That is a Baneling nest.
We're not going to have a long
early
game.
Time.
Whew. Yeah. This is going to be pretty quick, I imagine.
Interesting.
Just 21 drones now, another 10, 12 lings coming up after this.
You know, you don't see a lot of Baneling busts on this map. I'm a little bit surprised, to be completely honest with you. This is a map where Terran has a lot of opportunities to see this type of thing coming, too. He didn't even really try to hide the Baneling nest against scans or anything like that, either. So I wonder if it, you know, it certainly looks like an all-in. Yeah, well, I mean, that many Zerglings, you kind of have to go all-in. But part of me hopes it's defensive, but it doesn't look like it's going to be.
No.
Nope, that is not a very defensive place to morph in those Banelings.
It's not?
Not really.
Okay.
So
I'll agree with
QXC
you.
did go for reactored Hellions, so his Marine count is going to be pretty low because remember he lost a lot doing that bunker pressure too. So Ostojiy has a pretty decent opportunity to get in there. Now the only thing though is I think QXC is going to go for Banshees too. He did get his starport done very, very early. I haven't gotten to look at his base, so I don't know if he's got a tech lab there, but if he goes for Banshees, which he is, it could be dangerous, but here comes the Baneling bust.
That's right. The Banelings are able to make their way through, and the Zerglings are following behind as well. More Zerglings starting to filter in now. Does QXC have enough to hold this back? Baneling explodes on a few SCVs there. Not a whole lot went down. Oh, this is very bad for QXC, though, losing a lot of workers. Already 12 have been lost in the game, so he has kind of passed on the worker lead to his opponent now, who can successfully macro out of this, and indeed is droning up behind this.
Pretty good micro there with the Hellions, taking out a lot of those Zerglings that Ostojiy had in there. And you know what? Those were actually, you know, I know Zerglings are only 25 minerals apiece, but at this stage in the game, those are some expensive Zerglings, man.
That's
you
right.
really need to be killing things much more efficiently. Ooh, and I don't like this by Ostojiy. Yeah, just kind of sending in things a little bit piecemeal. Needs to pull back, play a little bit more passively, get a bigger force, and then move in for the kill if he wants to continue to be aggressive. Yeah, because he just doesn't have enough Zerglings to overwhelm those Hellions right now.
That's right.
He needs to kind of get around them, or he needs to get a better flank than that. Yeah, I mean...
18 kills for those first two Hellions there. I mean,
wow.
That is pretty staggering. So
really good micro by QXC as well to keep those alive. That's tough to do. I mean, in a panicky situation like that, played that really well, even though he did lose a good amount of workers.
That's true. His opponent does have a 10-worker lead at the moment, but of course QXC is calling down triple mules, and we were talking about very greedy build, but QXC says, I'm taking that much damage. The Banshees are still making their way out, and going ahead and adding on that, third command center is coming up for him as well.
Yeah, no, the nice thing for Ostojiy is that there was no cloak with this as well, I believe. The Banshees will not be able to do that. Oh, Banelings sneaking into the mineral line. QXC sees and pulls in time, loses a couple, but overall does pretty well. No, never mind. I was just about to say he did pretty well in keeping those alive, but then he turned around right at the last second.
Yes.
Whoops.
Yep.
All right, well, he lost another good group of SCVs, but Ostojiy has spent a lot on these Zerglings and Banelings. If you look, the worker count for the Zerg player is not where he would normally want it to be in a macro game in this map. He needs to kind of spend some time making some more drones here, but overall, still with a pretty decent lead in this game, I would say.
And looks like QXC going to use these Banshees for a little bit of DPS here up at the front. So Ostojiy has to pull back for now. Unfortunately, his queens are getting pretty low. Banshee's starting to get chased off, but a lot of Blings have gone down once again. QXC, not going to be able to get any real economic damage done, but he does have two Banshees up for the time being. But there are Spore Crawlers already being prepared.
Yep, that's right. If it weren't for the spores, those Banshees would be a bit worrisome, but as it is, I think Ostojiy is going to be just fine. He's also getting double upgrades as well, getting that lair. I think we're probably going to see an infestation pit along with this, but we'll have to kind of wait and see what he actually does decide to do. Yeah, the spores should be able to kind of defend most of those drones. Looks like he's going to be able to pick off a few on the outlying areas, but overall, it looks like things have kind of more or less stabilized for both players right now.
Gets a little bit of damage done, and with triple mules off of those 3 orbital commands, will actually be pretty close in economy. Yeah, as we can see, no real difference between these guys other than Ostojiy having a little bit higher gas intake. As well, hey, there's another Baneling nest coming up.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is, I think, one of those situations where you're very used to getting your Baneling nest at a certain time in your build, and you just do it on autopilot. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like one of those things where, as a viewer, you watch it and you're like, how could you ever make a second Baneling nest? I can't believe anyone ever does that.
Stuff like that,
yeah. When you get to the point where your builds become so second nature, you find yourself doing, and you're like, you don't even see it sometimes until you go back and watch your replay, and you're like, I actually made 2 Baneling nests that game. I can't believe it.
Because look at that, Aspire's coming right up. So he was heading down the Zergling Baneling Muta route.
I was going to say, with the Baneling nest at that timing, you're almost guaranteed to always see Aspire instead of an infestation pit. That's quite true.
So now we can see Baneling speed is being researched, and I bet you it's at his new Baneling nest, and indeed it is. So he thought that was the only Baneling nest that he had around. This hatchery is actually taking quite a bit of damage. The queens waddling their way down, but Ostojiy was doing a good job of already spreading that creep there, so the queens don't have to waddle down all the way. In fact, they were quite speedy through most of that.
Yeah, Ostojiy in pretty good shape here, but really, I mean, both players in not that bad of a shape. It's a pretty even game right now. QXC has that third command center on the way, right? It's is floating over right now. Yep, trying to take his third base. And if he's able to take this third and hold it, he's going to be in a really, really nice position now that he's got tanks. You can see he did get that early Raven just like he likes to do. Certainly a lot cheaper than spending a bunch of scans to kill creep tumors, right?
Very much so. And we can actually take a look. That creep spread's not too bad for as much action as there was at the beginning of this game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
StojiYiy doing a nice job of starting to continue to spread that. These Banshees have been very annoying as well, certainly getting his use out of them, even if they weren't able to kill a lot of workers at the beginning. So, 68 drones now to 49, now 50 SCVs. So, economy still a little bit better for StojiYiy, but with the continued mule production out of QXC, he will be able to catch up quite a bit in that regard, producing 11 Marines at a time right now.
Ooh, wow. A little bit of a miscue by Ostojiy there, running those Zerglings in it. Maybe not the best time. He did get a glimpse of the army. I think he was trying to maybe just do a little bit of a counterattack and didn't expect the army to be there, but it just kind of resulted in him losing quite a few Zerglings. QXC, quite a bit ahead on supply right now for this type of this point in the game.
Yeah, that's right. And he's going to drop in at 2 places at once, trying to take out a couple of bases. He will be able to get this hatchery, getting very close now, 200, 100, and it will go down. So a base falls, and QXC going to get everything cleaned up there, but it's going to allow him to push through the front as well.
Yep, and you'll really get to see the usefulness of that Raven here. He's able to see all the creep tumors right away, not even needing to worry about scanning. Another base gets canceled, and QXC with a very scary push here. I don't know if Ostojiy can hold this.
But he has no siege mode, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
And he realizes it because he just went to siege up a tank and now, unfortunately, has to start it. So QXC forgetting his siege mode for a little while, but he's still done a ton of damage with this push.
Yeah, no kidding, but Ostojiy's got to be wondering right now. He's like, all right, why aren't you sieging? But it's going to let him kill the entire army. Huge mistake by QXC, but will it be enough? He's still ahead right now. He still did kill that third base, and it looks like he may lose another queen here, too.
Yeah, well, it looks like actually QXC just trying to go after that hatchery and soften that up as much as possible. At the same time, the map ping shows 2 Banshees.
Yep.
Riveting.
Banshees, that's right.
Riveting.
Those Banshees, though, I mean, let's be fair, they've been really useful this game. Those have been utility Banshees, right? They've kept the Xel'Naga towers clear for QXC all game long, really limiting Ostojiy's vision over those main movement paths for the army. So, yeah, I mean, the Banshees coming pretty handy. They deserve a ping. I've decided they deserve a map ping.
Do they deserve that many pings?
No,
though?
they don't.
Okay,
that
I was just
is
wondering.
just unnecessary, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, it's a pretty big counterattack here for StojiYiy over on the left-hand side of the map. And QXC actually loses a lot of his defensive Marines very quickly. A lot of economic damage is being done. QXC forced to pull back with all of his forces, and he will eventually be able to clean this up, but he hasn't touched the Mutalisks quite yet. Oh, well, there he does as they're flown directly over.
Touching the none too gently with his Marines right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow, okay. So Ostojiy still a little bit behind on supply, not a position you want to be in as a Zerg player. He's getting his infestation pit right now, trying to get his 3rd and 4th bases up and mining efficiently again. His drone count is a little bit low as well, only at 63 right now. You need to be at least 70-something, if not a little bit higher at this point in the game in ZVT, so that's going to hurt him as well.
And it looks like this little pack of Marines is going to go down, but of course it does see the existence of that 4th base. A couple of things going on at once, though. Oh, StojiYiy tried to run in with a Zergling counterattack, but QXC was ready for it, and he continues to siege himself up, scanning with scan. Well, I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, but cleaning up a few creep tumors along the way.
Scanned with that scan, and some drones kind of there as well, just for kind of hanging out purposes.
Jackpot.
Yeah, exactly. Finds a lot of creep tumors there. Looks like it should be enough lings to handle this. Losing a muta there as well. But the supply is now even. Here's the thing, is QXC does have siege mode now. He's going to be able to start doing that slow, methodical pushing. Ostojiy going to need to be very careful about how he engages. Oh, losing a few more Zerglings there as well.
All right. Well, StojiYiy does have 60-some-odd Zerglings on the field right now. That number is dwindling a little bit. A few Banelings trying to run it from the side as well, but they aren't really able to get too much damage done. They're finally cleaning up the Marines that were going after that next hatchery, and StojiYiy does clean that attack up.
Yeah, he does, taking the supply lead for the first time in a long time in this game and making 6 mutas behind this as well. The muta count is going to get very, very high, very harassable. Oh, unless it does this. Oh, man, that was close.
No kidding.
Ostojiy giving me a heart attack here with his Mutalisks. Man.
Well, this 4th base is very injured for StojiYiy, and of course, so is his 3rd as well. So a couple of well-timed drops, and QXC may be able to clean those up. He himself is finishing up another command center, making sure he remains diligent, though, with bunkers protecting his bases along the outside. So pretty good play out of both these guys, and what is turning into a very even game.
I know, and what a kind of scrappy game this has been, too. A lot of units being lost on both sides, a lot of pushes being denied from QXC, a lot of harassment being denied from Ostojiy, a lot of Overlords just randomly dying. Mutalisks, too, why not?
Two Mutalisk gone there. That's
oh man, 400
resources
Ostojiy,
there.
what are you doing? All right, well, that hatchery went down as well. Here come all the Banelings, but is it going to be enough? Doesn't look like it. Not the best engagement for our Zerg player, and that actually may be all QXC needs right there to tip the scales. That was a very, very bad moment for our Zerg player in this game. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, unfortunately so. He does clean up a pretty big drop there, but all the creep once again receding as QXC diligently knocks out all of that, trying to take that pocket expansion as well, leaving this a command center so we can float it over and turn it into a planetary fortress, retain dominance over the middle of the map as well. QXC's upgrades certainly coming along on +3 weapons, +2 armor, and just continuing to macro like a madman.
Yeah, I mean, this game is actually a very good example of momentum shifts in TVZ, as I will talk about after this attack happens, or it doesn't happen. Oh, a lot of Zerglings being taken out. Basically, in this situation, the Terran, if they win an engagement very one-sidedly, like we saw that last engagement won by QXC, that suddenly gives you staying power on the map with your army, right? It suddenly makes it much more difficult for Zerg to kind of force you back towards your side of the map. And Ostojiy is really kind of going into a bit of a desperation mode right now.
Yeah, a bunch of Banelings actually just exploded as well as they got a little bit too close to those siege tanks, unfortunately. So, nice job here to clear up the 5th base and by QXCs, even adding on a couple of Thors as well to help ward away all of those Mutalisks.
Yep.
They A-clicked away, but I don't think they meant to A-click on the destructible debris, just to move around. He just so happened to land on those destructible debris.
Does snipe a tank. That does help a little bit. I feel like Ostojiy needs to be a little bit more aggressive in his harassment with these mutas. I mean, he obviously can't attack the army, but QXC, you know, still fairly well defended at home, too. Ostojiy just trying to pick off what he can here, trying to whittle down the army and buy time. That's kind of what he really needs to do at this point. Buy time, get an army out there that's capable of killing off what QXC has, and then also getting enough resources and larvae built up that he can remax quickly, because if you don't have the ability to remax, you're just not going to be able to finish the game. And another hatchery going down.
Wow, that's right, Matt Pingers. We were already there, but unfortunately, the hatchery does fall, so once again, Ostojiy is just on 3 bases, and QXC is moving up to his 5th as we see another command center being constructed near that pocket.
Yep, and QXC...
Insta-gift the muta there.
No kidding, wow.
Ugh.
Although his Marines are very kind of balled up right now. Then Infestor coming in for a fungal. Nice fungal, hits quite a few of those there.
It does.
Doing a lot of damage, using up a lot of medevac energy, and here comes the attack. Maybe not the most efficient. Will it work?
We'll find out. That was a little bit better engagement there for Ostojiy. He was able to neutralize a good portion of those Marines and then swung in with the back from the back and was able to kill a lot of those tanks. Yeah, unfortunately, those mutas were a bit bunched up for a while, so a lot of those were low, but they do, for the most part at least, survive.
And Ostojiy, there we go, pulling away just the right moment, being very, very careful with those mutas. He can't lose those right now. And now that the Infestors are out, QXC is going to need to kind of rethink his situation in this game. You know, he's either going to need to get really, really aggressive here, try to take down his opponent before the Infestor count gets a little bit out of control, or he's going to need to pull back, be defensive, get prepared to handle that kind of army. And we'll have to see what he chooses.
Well, here come the mutas. They feel confident enough to be able to swing in and try and do some damage. 2 mutas have already fallen in this little harassment. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mutas went down there. So that's 1,400 resources, unfortunately, just evaporating for Ostojiy.
Yep. Pretty much. 700 minerals, 700 gas, and that equals a lot less mutas out on the map right now. He is going for Hive, wants to get that Greater Spire, but it's just going to be tough. I mean, it's so late. It's so late that his other bases are a lot, you know, very, very mined out right now. So unless he's able to keep this 4th base, and we can see him moving his entire army down there now, if he doesn't keep that 4th base, there's no way that he is going to be able to get out enough Corruptors, enough units to really make use of that Spire tech that he's probably going to be going for here. QXC, in the meantime, has a pretty solid 4th base up. He's had it for a long time. Not really hurting at all in the upgrades department, so it's still, you know, a really tough spot for Ostojiy.
This is a pretty good catch, though. He does manage to snag 2 medevacs without taking too much damage. Oh, whiffing on a couple of fungal growths in the middle, though, and loses some infestors as a result. QXC still with a monster amount of forces on the field. Look, the Marines just continue to stream, and they just don't end.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just a lot of Marines for QXC. He's in his element now. He's got plenty of Marines. He's got a couple tanks to shore up the defenses, a couple Thors for mutas, and this may be the last fight here.
Let's find out. Fungals
Good
pins
Fungals.
down a couple of units, gets a pretty good engagement with a few of those Banelings, but unfortunately there's just not enough stuff there, despite the fact that 1 billion Marines just died. So did everything else for Ostojiy, unfortunately.
Yeah, just barely not enough Banelings to get past everything. He fungled it. It was held in place, but the Banelings just didn't get there in time. And now we have Ostojiy trying to delay again. QXC on the path to victory, possibly, in this game.
No kidding, man. Can he put complexity up 3-0? That's a very, very solid start for them if that ends up being the case. You know, Ostojiy, what can he do at this point, though? He's trying to make a few Corruptors, wants to get a couple of Broodlords up there. Absolutely needs to not just win one engagement, but an engagement so convincingly that he's able to counterattack and do a ton of damage.
Yep, a couple spine crawlers aren't going to do the trick, unfortunately, but it's kind of like I said. I mean, it's just so late that he just doesn't have enough to get the Spire. Oh, QXC having to lift, though. That base being denied does help a little bit, at least. But yeah, this bottom base here, the bottom right base, is really where all the action comes down to. If he doesn't save this base, the game is over.
Well, we have 2 Broodlords morphing in now, sitting overhead. The Infestors is trying to delay for as long as possible. Banelings can't even do enough damage to take out a couple of Marines there. Oh, Zergling's coming in behind, and unfortunately QXC a little bit slow to react, and one of the Thors almost goes down, but a very nice job to pick it up and save it. Then drops a Thor right on top of the Infestors and ends up killing quite a few of them. However, this base is still going to fall.
Yep, Hatchery getting very, very low now, and it does get taken out, and that is pretty much the rest of the income for Ostojiy. His third base getting very, very low right now.
Yeah.
So I think we might see him maybe try to make a couple Broodlords if he can and do this push, but it's going to be so tough. I mean, he's just playing from such a deficit right now. That command center very low, but QXC still has an opportunity to repair that.
That's right, but he is getting pretty low. But it doesn't matter. Ostojiy does go ahead and GG, so QXC takes his 3rd game in a row. Incredibly well done. Complexity just 2 games away from knocking GoSu out of the tournament.